Hey everybody, Mo Bunnell here, your host at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. In this episode, the fourth of five with Cyril Peupion. He's CEO and founder of Work Smarter, Live Better. We talk about an inspirational story that Cyril experienced that was about business development, but it was frankly mostly about relationship development and that part of growth with an important client of his. This episode, the initial story is awesome, but I try to pin Cyril down at the end of this to really get into what behavior he exhibited, what thing he did that makes him proud of this particular success story and this particular long-term relationship that he's fostered. And it's in that moment, about halfway or two-thirds of the way through this episode, that I think the meat, the really juicy part is. But you've got to hear the story before it to know the context of what that is. And then what's interesting at the end, we flip that and I get Cyril's advice in a real practical way, like really practically, what would he advise people to be able to achieve what he achieved in this particular story. So this is one of those that gets better as it goes, and you want to stick around to hear that insight of what he personally did to have the success that he describes, and then practically what he would advise others to get that success for them. Really good stuff. Love this episode. Now, if you would like tips to be great at growth, to get better at business development, head over to growbigplaybook.com. That's where you can sign up in just a couple seconds to get a weekly newsletter that I write myself. I spend a couple hours on it every single week to give you something you can read in 3 or 4 minutes, and it'll help you improve your business development skills. That's at growbigplaybook.com. All right, here's Cyril Peupion on the story that he's proud of about business development. Hey everybody, it's Mo Bunnell, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm back with Cyril Peupion. I am having a blast. And that last episode, Cyril, was one of the best that I've ever recorded with anybody. So everybody, if you didn't catch that one yet, it was really, really good. Okay, on this one, this episode, this is our 4th out of 5 episodes. In the entire season, this particular question that we kick off this 4th episode every time ends up turning into something inspirational. So feel free to tell a full story here and really get into it, Cyril. You're a great storyteller. So here it is. Tell me of a business development story that you're very proud of.
It's interesting because what I'm very proud of in this one, it's not the business development, it's the relationship.
Ooh.
Many years ago, I got in contact with one of the largest consulting firms in the world, and met one of their partners in Sydney. We got along really well. He asked me to work with some of his colleagues. We did a training. The training went really well. And then he's like, man, that's going to be really useful to my other colleagues around the world, but nothing was really happening. And then he had an idea, say, hey, so we've got this big worldwide meeting that's happening in Barcelona. Would you come? Would you fly just to do a session? Just short session, an hour and a half session. And I'm like, yeah, great. I'll fly. How many people should I expect in this session? And he said, look, we've got a few sessions in parallel. You'll be one of them. So I think you should have about 40, 50 people. So I'm really excited, prepare the session, fly the day before, get to Barcelona. I also love Barcelona. I've got a few very close friends, if not some of my best friends living there. It was great. I loved it. And then I get to the session. I think it started at 9:30 in the morning. And there's 5 people in the room. I'm like, I have flown 20,000 K from Sydney to Barcelona to present to 5 people. I'm going to do it, but it's mad. Now, I discovered the culture of this company where everyone was late. There were 70 seats. Within 10 minutes, there was 120 people in the room. Every seat was filled. People were standing, sitting. It was just mad. Absolutely mad. The topic of work smarter, live better really raised an interest. And I had one of those, spur of the moment idea. The day before, I'm in Barcelona. I'm like, I'm here to test a little bit if that could become a big client, and I'm in discussion with their L&D and HR department, so it'd be good to get a bit of testimonial. So I remember going to a library or a shop in Barcelona, trying to explain how you get the small card, the Bristol cards. Finally managed to buy some Bristol cards and put one Bristol card under every chair. And at the end of the session, I said, look, I've just put a little Bristol card under your under your seat. Can you write 3 things? Your name, 1 feedback about the session, and if yes or no, this would be of interest as a training. And I had the okay from L&D for this, so I cleared that with L&D. And Mo, I thought to myself, hey, they've got about 1,000 leaders around the world. If I get a 20% interest, I've got a business case. We're good. 100%. 100% rate. Right, great session. Well, the best session we had this week. When are you coming to New York? When are you coming to Atlanta? When are you coming to Hong Kong? It was just mad. And that was the start of a great relationship. But what happened was even better. I had got a really amazing relationship with the L&D department, and we started working together. And in your book, there's this great advice about how involving people to help you to create it, that they help to create it. Yep. And we had this real relationship with this L&D department where we would sit down every year, review what we had done, and really think, how can we do it better next year?
Yep. Yep.
And they would bring a lot of ideas, and they would challenge me, and I would challenge them, and it was a real working discussion. And that created a trust and a relationship that 8 years down the track is still really strong, and it's probably one of my most favorite clients. I work with a lot of clients, but my favorite because of this trust and relationship. This is for me the best business development story, because it's not about business development, it's about people.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and I think I know who you're talking about, and I love working with the same organization, so we bond on that because the favoritism is high on both of our parts because of their culture. So this is where this question set goes next. Love the background, but this episode's meant to be inspirational. It's meant to dig deep, and it's meant to show that people can accomplish more than they think they could. Along the surface, that sounds like, oh, it was easy. It was a great idea. Put the cards under the chairs. Maybe I can do that. But there's something deeper. What did you personally do that you're so proud of in that? Like well, I'll just leave it at that. What did you personally do? What was the action you took that maybe you were scared of, or that stretched you out your comfort zone? Or what did you personally do in that story that you're quite proud of?
So there's a few things. Yes, it was putting ourselves out of the comfort zone. At the beginning, I'm not a speaker. I'm a trainer. I was doing one-on-one, small group, and so on. Being in front of an audience, and this was a really high audience.
Yeah.
The speaker before me for this audience was one of the Nobel Prize winner. So, you're speaking after one of the Nobel Prize winner on a productivity topic in front of super busy executive. I was completely out of my comfort zone on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
I think preparation is the first thing. People don't realize even today for a 1 hour speech, and I know my stuff upside down. I've trained so many people and made so many speeches. Even for an hour speech, I'll spend 2, 3, 4 hours just preparing just 1 hour speech. And this first one, I probably spent 20 hours preparing, if not more. Not more.
Yep.
And so the first thing I'm really proud is I took it really seriously, and there was a lot of prep into it. And I researched, I spoke to people, and so on. Yeah,
you keep going.
The second thing, Mo, is there's a real value in me. I talk about value, it's a very strong word for me. It's about continuous improvement, thriving to improve all the time. And I think this client felt, and a lot of my clients feel that, and that I'm not saying, hey, this is the way it needs to be done like this. To say, hey, I've got some real expertise in what I'm doing, built over the last 16 years of doing it, but it can always improve. And I'd love your feedback about how we can improve, and let's work in real partnership. And there's this notion of, both, there are a few fundamentals that I will keep. It needs to be practical. So people ask me, hey, can you do the training that you do in 4 months? Can you do in 2 days in a workshop? And I say no, because I don't believe in it. And so there's some fundamental that I'm really anchor, but there's a real mentality about continuous improvement. And I think it is anchoring me. How can I do better in my content, in my approach, in my relationship? And I think that was a key of success here.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think what's interesting about your story is, the fact that you were way outside your comfort zone in another part of the world, giving a speech and, following somebody who's really high stakes in a time period when you hadn't done a lot of that before, is not as much as you've done now, obviously. And that you took it so seriously, you did the preparation, you were always improving, and then you got the result you got. That's what life is about, stretching outside your comfort zone, doing something that's on the edge of what's possible that you think you can do, or maybe you're not quite sure. You put yourself out there and you crushed it, and a great result happened that has even gotten better with time. That's a cool story. So finish with this. What's your advice to somebody that maybe they've been hesitating, maybe they've been in their comfort zone for a while, maybe they haven't stretched and done something that makes them feel uncomfortable? What's your advice to somebody like that, and how they can strive to push themselves a little bit more?
Well, it comes back to some of the things we discussed a bit earlier, Mo, in one of the previous episodes, which is, I've got this approach that I call Think Quarterly, Plan Weekly, Act Daily. And every quarter, I choose 2 or 3 priorities that are going to push me a little bit out of my comfort zone. And the way I explain this to leaders is to say, the day-to-day will happen. The operation will happen. You've got all your meeting organized. You've got your client, even your client meeting organized, and so on. A lot of things will happen. But choose every quarter, maybe 1, maybe 2, maximum 3, between 1 and 3 things that are going to push yourself out of your comfort zone, that you would normally always procrastinate on and say, I know I should do this, but it's not urgent, I'll do it later. And choose just 1 or 2, And it could be, so for example, for me, one thing that a few years ago I started doing is I need to improve my speaking skills. And I went to be trained by one of the greatest speakers here in Australia. Completely took me out of my comfort zone. And then I had to apply it and be in a speech and being completely taken out of my comfort zone. Then we moved to the pandemic. And I thought, we're going to have to deliver things online. What do I need to do? I found an ex-film director who trained me and my team how to be better on camera. I found an IT expert who completely changed my settings. Every time, so the first time I had to use a camera and microphone and new settings and organizing things. The first time I had to be like an actor on camera. Completely taking my comfort zone. So my advice is every quarter choose 1 or 2 things like this. That's going to help you take you out of your comfort zone, but it's going to push the dial further. That's going to really have an impact long term on you. Choose 1 and then protect time every single week. Every week it needs to be protected, and just do it. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
I love it. And the other thing I noticed that you did there is you not only picked the priority, but you found a worldwide expert to guide you through it, so that they were a step ahead of you, that you accelerated the learning too. And I think that's important. So, hey, let's close with this awesome episode. Love the inspiration and love the practical advice at the end. Where should people go to get more Cyril Peupion?
So the best one is to go to the website. I've got a website called wslb.com, which is for work smarter, live better.com. So go to wslb.com. On the website, you'll find the weekly plan that I talk about. This is the time where you actually plan and protect those kind of things in your calendar. It's a really simple step-by-step weekly plan, very practical. They'll find heaps of small videos. I've been shooting really practical advice, 3-4 minutes. They're really one simple advice that I try to give every 2 weeks to all the people that I have trained, that we've worked with in our world, and all that is on the website. That's where they can find all this information.
I love it. I love it. WSLB.com. Everybody, I'm a subscriber to Cyril's weekly or bi-weekly emails. Absolutely love getting those videos, and that weekly planner is killer. So follow, subscribe to the show, everybody. Set up those notifications so it'll go bonkers when new episodes come out, because we've got one more coming up with Cyril right after this one. Thanks, Cyril.
Thanks, Mo.